how do you guys know each other?
To give you context on how Jake and I met,
it's not as dirty as I would like it to be.
Oh, I was gonna say, I was like, what the fuck, were you guys at like an orgy or something? And it's like, yo, we're like best friends, let's fucking make a comic.
Harim can kick some people's ass at Smash, dude. Like, I gave up trying to get good at that game.
Yo, we got it right here. Let's go, bro. So you guys are just like a two-man team. Like, there's nobody else. It's just you two.
Yeah, it's just as...
like the fucking Akatsuki over here. It's like two men. Yo, the presidency between Donald Trump and Biden, or Hillary. I was about to say Hillary Duff. Fucking Hillary Clinton, whatever. The president. The battle between Donald Trump. Where you couldn't tell if the fucking male artists were actually women artists and vice versa.
Exactly. You look at Mickey Free from Shalimar, you're like, is that a man?
I took out the whole team with Akuma, and the final move was Raging Demon. I was so hyped, punched a hole in my wall, and freaking like broke my hand, but it was the most glorious moment of my entire life. Cool. So we won't go over the 3-hour mark. And I promise I will not talk about my grandmother or anybody's grandmother.
If it's relevant, it was just so not relevant. We were like, where did this come from? You know?
Yeah.
Fucking jokes. But all right, cool. So I'll introduce this thing, man. Yes, I've been excited to get you guys on here. We got Dead Gremlin Comics here. We got Harim and Jake. And they have one of the most unique art styles, form of storytelling out of any of, not even the indie comic arena, but just like comics in general. Like when I watch it, I get the nostalgia vibes hard fucking core. So, I really appreciate you guys hopping on. So Harim and Jake, thank you. And, I mean, let's get right into it, man. So how do you guys know each other?
Harim, do you want to tell him? The dirty story.
Let's get to the fucking
to give you context on how Jake and I, Jake and I met.
It's not as dirty as I would like it to be.
Oh, I was gonna say, I was like, what the fuck, were you guys at like an orgy or something? And it's like, yo, we're like best friends, let's fucking make a comic. Or
like Jake's like, you want to tell him or should I? No,
we were in the middle. We were in the middle of the pile and we met in the middle, and I was like, hey man, we were this close. And I was like, I think you got some ideas, don't you? And he was like, I got some ideas.
I got some ideas for
we quietly slipped out. We were all oiled up so we could slip out.
I know. Ricky Ticky couldn't, he couldn't make it. He couldn't make it. Ricky Ticky was in that orgy though.
That is fucking funny.
But you can tell him the real story, Harim.
Oh no, but like, so like before we go on, like my name is Harim. I'm sorry, I didn't want to be that guy to be like the pronunciation thing.
Okay.
But like, Jake and I met at SCAD, like I think freshman year at SCAD, like not even like long after the semester.
SCAD is an art school, also.
Yeah, Savannah College of Art and Design.
What the fuck is that?
Right, Savannah College of Art and Design in Savannah, Georgia. That's where we went to college. Like I think Jake and I came up with like the foundation of what is going to be Blood Force Trauma in the dorm that we stayed in. I think in like circa 2016, 2017. Like
we were roomies. Yeah,
we were roomies. I think I thought, because like Jake and I thought about, we talked about like wanting to do a project together for a while, specifically a comic book, because I know Jake does comics and I'm not typically a comic guy. And so I think like when I thought of something in the shower, and like we kind of developed this idea where it was like these 3 Kung Fu kings. Remember this, Jake? It was like 3 Kung Fu kings that was frozen in different periods of time. One was like ancient Shaolin master from like the ancient Chinese days. The second one was a blaxploitation character in the 70s. That would be eventually, that was Lightning Legs Jones. That was version 1.0. And then there was going to be like a 90s vigilante weapons
like hero
character, which is eventually would become Yusha from Blood Force Trauma. And then they're all frozen in their individual times, and they were going to be let out and released because their fighter DNA was transferred into this robot that was going to wreak havoc by this corporation and that they're gonna, and those three guys
Don't laugh.
stop it.
This
It's
sounds
an amazing idea, and we'll
insane.
probably do it. And now so many people are gonna steal it.
Yeah, some people are
Thanks.
going to steal the idea now, but like we
Into a
went.
robot?
It's so funny because like that blueprint, we didn't really go very far with that.
Okay.
And then like I think subsequently, like a couple years later, when I moved to Tennessee, because like that's where Jake moved after SCAD. Well, you know, Jake's originally from Tennessee, but
From
I joined
Tennessee,
with
and then
them.
Hiram moved, and we hung out, and then you know,
Yeah,
orgies galore.
And Jake like came to like me with like a revamped idea, kind of combining like a lot of what we love, like, you know, anime, like 80s aesthetic, like Jake's love for 90s aesthetics, and like tournament arc anime and the training and stuff like that. And he came to me with like a concept, and not only that, the name, which I wasn't too fond of at the very beginning, but like it warmed up to me, like, you know, as we went on, and that is like how Blood Sports Trauma started. Like, Jake, you can tell him if I got anything wrong.
Oh no, yeah, that's how it was. Like, we had Lightning Legs from the other idea, so it all kind of spawned off my first comic that I did on Kickstarter, like 2016, Offbeat Town, and it was supposed to be like another story set in that world. But then I was like quickly over that book because I feel like I got better, my skills got better, and I was kind of like past that now. I was like grown out of that, so I was like, let's make a new thing in its own world, but let's make that main character not like Lightning Legs Jones is like seen it all. He's like the best of the best. Let's make the main character kind of like us, and the idea is like, what if one of us had to now learn all of these powers? What would we do as like fighting game, like anime nerds? Like if we had to, you know, be trained or whatever, like a normal guy. And so that's where Zap came from. He's kind of like a combination of mine and Hiram's personalities, and our like he's a nerd. He loves Blood Force Trauma. He loves fighting games. And then we got into Dragon Ball Fighters like super hard.
Yeah.
And then we were like, we got to make a comic like this. And
Right.
then we were like, let's do it.
Yeah, because
I could tell the main character is like that super nerd, because I was like, oh, I got mad friends who are into WWE, like just how he's into Blood Force Trauma.
Yeah,
like, they'll go to it. They got their T-shirts, like they're going ham, and it's like, yo, I was like, yo, I stopped watching wrestling. What, in like elementary school, like when The Rock and like Stone Cold were
Bro,
there.
get
Like
back
people that
into
are like
it.
diehards.
Get back into it, man. AEW is the shit.
Yo, I see Jake Paul in there. I was like, yo, that kind of wanted, like, when I saw his outfit, I was like, oh, nah, he's killing these guys. I was like, this might make me, like, you know, want to watch it. And just playing
he's
fucking...
he's on WWE.
Yeah, what's for N64? No Mercy.
Yeah,
and
that's a good game,
WCW versus NWO. Those two wrestling games, iconic right there.
Well, AEW has a new game coming out by the guys who made No Mercy. They're coming back, and they're making their game, and everyone's excited because it's going to be like the old school, like arcade style wrestling game, like over the top. Yeah, so get back in. It's a good time.
Yeah. You always sell me anytime that you revert something to the 80s or the 90s. I feel like the mid 80s to the mid 90s, even towards a little bit towards the end of the 90s, that's like the greatest era of mankind. Like, we've been declining ever since then. We've been declining. And so when I see your project, and you said it was like it has 80s and 90s influence, and I could see that right off of the bat. I mean, from the colors to the artwork, just to the literally down to the storyline, down to the outfits that they're wearing. It's like, yo, this is like freaking dope. And you wouldn't even expect, I guess, like, how old are you guys? You said you were in college in 2016?
Yeah, we graduated 2017, so I'm 27. And Hiram, you're 27 too, or are you gonna be 27?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
We're
So
both
you guys,
27.
yeah, I'm 33, so I'm terrible at math. I don't know how
Nice,
far
bro.
off that.
So we're
That's
pretty
like 6
close.
years. I'm like 6 years older than you, right?
Yeah, which at this point in our lives isn't that crazy, but back in college, that would be like, whoa, he's so old.
He's so much older. Yeah.
Yeah, but 6 years now is like, oh man, whatever. You're one of us. We're all clumped together now. So
word, absolutely. So who does what? Like, who does the writing? Who does the artwork? Is it like a mix between both, or what do we have going on?
We do we like both of us do the writing, and Jake does everything else.
Okay.
yeah, so we wrote the whole like outline of the story together. We come up. Hiram comes up with most of the characters. So like he has a document that he's made. There's so many we haven't even gotten to yet, but he does all the bios, like their backstories, which really influences how I write the character. So we'll write it all together. I draw it, color it, write the script, like do a pass on the script. Hiram does his own like he'll go over it, see if there's anything that he can make better, and then yeah, that's basically very collaborative, you know.
So you guys are just like a 2-man team. Like there's nobody else. It's just you two.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just us.
Like the fucking Akatsuki over here. It's like
It's-
2-man
it's-
fucking.
I'm that one with the
Dangerous.
hand. I'm the one with the mouths in my hands, dude.
And
I can
for
make
real,
clay
Deidara.
birds.
like
Yeah, Deidara.
I would say though, like this has been like the most fun for me in a lot of ways because unlike Jake, I'm not as big into comics. Like I started getting more into comics like right after this because Jake's been because we've done podcasts and stuff like that before. So Jake has recommended me comics that I've read, and now that I now own, I have like a whole comic collection that's still growing. And not only that, like because the art is so like well done, and because like there are more and more people like that are really getting into the characters that we're making. He's having me join conventions. I've never done conventions and stuff like that. Like it's been like it's kind of like it's just opened up like this it opened up a world that I didn't think that I would be a part of. Okay. And I'm really excited to be a part of it because this Blood Force Trauma is like some of Jake's best stuff, like without a doubt. Like the way he colors it, the way he draws the characters, and that's the best thing for me because like I get to when I think of ideas to write characters, or when we both come up with ideas to come up with characters, and I write something down that's like absurdly stupid, it's like I can tell it to him, and he'll tell me if it's terrible. Or like, that's good, But like sometimes I have to like press and be like, no, I think it's a great idea, and then like Jake draws it, and it's so much fun.
It's like Hiram will have an idea like, oh, I have a character that uses wind, and I think that's stupid because how can you draw a character that uses wind? Like that's not interesting to me. But
fucking Naruto,
I know.
Aang from
I'm not
Last
done.
Airbender.
No, I know, but I don't want to draw that personally. I love that show, but drawing wind doesn't sound fun. But then he was like, but what if there's a guy who can blow wind at you so hard your skin tears off? And I was like, oh, well, I want to draw that.
Yeah.
I like it. I like it.
So Hiram just knows because it's just me. Like other artists would be like, wind, cool. It's just like he's like, Jake, I know how to pitch this to you. Like you pitched me some guy whose whole thing is he oils himself up and is really slippery, and I was like, I don't want to draw that. And you were like, no, but
it's Hakan from Street Fighter 4. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I know, and I don't like that guy.
That is hilarious.
Oil.
No, so that's dope. I mean, out of everybody that I've sit down with, interacted with, I don't think I've met anybody who either didn't have a team or working by themselves that, you guys are just you two. And it seems like you guys were fucking amazing. I mean, just from reading that first issue, it's like you guys, like, you got the fucking magic sauce right there. It's like, don't fucking do that.
Thank you, man.
Yeah,
Thank you,
man. Dope, man. That's crazy.
Like, I think I'm also like a big fan of like how Jake writes dialogue because he's very like he's very detail oriented. So like how he creates like how we can like do this edgy fighting game like piece, the story piece, like and have dialogue that's over the top and kind of tongue in cheek a little bit to kind of like break the tension and make it funny and punny while also making it engaging. Like
so kind of just write it to make Hiram laugh. So we used
let's talk about that. Like, how do you guys write? How do you come up with these clever one-liners? Like, where do you get your inspiration from? All of this shit.
Okay, I'll break it down. So Hiram showed me a little movie called Black Dynamite years ago. I don't know if you've seen it, but Lightning Legs Jones is based off of Black Dynamite. Jim Kelly, like Black Belt Jones, like all that stuff. And so that spoofy like dialogue style in Black Dynamite where it's super serious, it's played super seriously, but they're saying the stupidest things is kind of what we think is funny. So like characters like Thrash in the first issue is so serious, but he's saying such dumb things, but he's doing it completely serious. And then later, as you go on, we've got characters like Tornado Tony and I don't want to. I almost spoil the character who hasn't showed up yet. But just other goofy characters with Lightning Legs Jones being the most fun. So really, and then with the influence of me and Hiram, just like we can sit in a room and just make each other laugh for hours. So I basically write the dialogue with the idea of, will this make Hiram laugh? And if and that's kind of how I write the dialogue. So when I send it to him, it's the most exciting thing because he's going to do a pass on it, and he changes dialogue from time to time and puts in like better lines. And the best thing having Hiram is I'll do a line that's like too much like explanation, and his input is always really good about being like, you don't need to explain this. You're like, you can cut that. Like those are the best because
I stand by that. So many times I read projects where people are explaining too much. It's like, yo, let like the actual story like explain this. So let the artwork do it. Don't just like do that Star Wars monologue where you explain everything on. It's like you don't need to do that. It's like you're not idiots.
Not at all.
So it's good because there's always like that fine balance of when you're writing it, you don't know sometimes. You're like, are people going to get this? So having Hiram is always good because he can be like, yeah, they get it. You don't need that, stuff like that.
Like it's like film. It's like because like I studied film in college. Like it's like writing for stories. Like they taught me that less is more. And so it's like, it's literally what you guys explained. It's like you just show, don't tell. And people will just
it's like a fucking Christopher Nolan movie. It's like this motherfucker don't explain nothing and you leave the movie theater like this was the greatest movie ever. What the fuck happened?
You go, what?
Like there are ways to explain your world and characters without really having to literally tell them, spoon feed them information. It's just more interesting.
Now, probably my only downfall in that arena, Hiram, I don't know, is that I have too many jokes I'm trying to do, and so like. So sometimes it's too much, but but again, I just think about making Hiram laugh, and that's my direction. So in the how many have you read? Just the first one?
Yeah, just the first issue, or maybe I read the second. I can't remember. I'm
it's
like
okay.
So much shit, and everything like it starts to blend together. So sometimes people will be talking to me. I'm like, yo, I don't remember this project, and then I gotta like actually read it again. I'm like, oh, all right, now I remember.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. No, I got a stack of books that I've been collecting for the past like 6 months, and I'm like, I got to catch up on those, and then the next month comes, and then you're like, well, and then some of them just never read them, just like they go in the box, but there's some goons in issue 4 that show up that say like have the longest monologue of just shit, and me and Hiram will just read it to me because he loves it, and it was stuff we made up like years ago. We were like, I can't wait to get to that issue so we can write all the shit we think is funny.
How long does it take you guys to write? Like, let's say, I don't know, let's say like 1 page. How long does it take you guys to write it from a blank canvas, thinking of ideas, to actually writing it out?
Well, so when we outlined it, it took us like a week to outline the whole thing. Like we sat down and said from beginning to the end of the entire story. So it took us like a week total, and then I draw it. It takes me a day to ink a page and then at the very end I color it all in like a week, like each issue. But the page, dude, I write the whole book in 1 day. So I do all the art, and then the dialogue, I like purposely, we don't write a script because I'm just going to make it up. So I do the thumbnails, and then I'll write like a little note that kind of says what I want them to say, like the idea of something they say, like, oh, we got to get out of here. I'll just write like, we got to get out of here, but I'll make it better later. And then do all the art colors, and then on like I just finished issue 6 like 3 days ago, like all the script, and I already sent it off. So I just did 1 day, woke up and then wrote the whole thing in 1 day and then sent it to Hiram. So not everyone does that. Most professionals write a script and they think about it. I have found that my better dialogue is like as spontaneous as I can, as long as I have the like layout and I'm not like fudging anything, because, and that might not work for a more dramatic piece where you need to think, but ours is like mostly a comedy. It's like mostly trying to be funny. and there's some dramatic stuff here and there, and I try to think about that, and give it the attention it deserves. But with jokes, if I think too hard, you lose the joke, and then it's not funny anymore. But that's just my process, you know.
All right, cool. Yeah, it's like when you guys are writing and when I read your project, it's like you have the one-liners, like you said, like Black Dynamite. It's like I know I'm a black person, so every black person that I know has tried to write a rap or write some bars on a piece of paper, and you're like, yo, this shit is like ass. But when you guys write it and when I'm reading it, I'm like, this seems like high-end professional like writers are just like in a room like coming up with these ideas, and I'm like, yo, these puns, like these jokes, like the dialogue and everything is super dope. And then just to find out, like, and I knew that it was two people, but then sometimes there's like a behind the scenes team that you don't really see, but it's just you two, and I gotta give you guys props for it, man. That's fucking amazing.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, no, and like aside from like when like because we wrote like the entire blueprint, like, you know, that week that we sat down and like just like figure out what the beginning, middle, and end was. But like as we go into each like issue, I know that like Jake and I, we go back and like we kind of tweak like how the story is going to be. Like sometimes we're like, save that for next issue, or we'll include that in this one. I think Jake, you're really good at like kind of deliberating and kind of like separating which story elements like need to be addressed in which issue and which can be saved for the next one, and so on.
Yeah, so it's like we wrote the whole outline, but then we change it depending on how the story unfolds and if we feel like it. So it's very organic and it's changing. We kind of wanted the vibe I like with Hiram is it feels like Peter Laird and Kevin Eastman when they were making Ninja Turtles, and they were just like hanging out in their basement and like smoking whatever they were smoking at that time, you know, like just like chilling and making comics, and like, why don't we do this? What if the guy has like a million machine guns for arms? And you're like, okay, and you just make it, and then you kind of try to make it work. So we just wanted to have that raw energy of like, what if you could make the comic book that you wanted when you were like in middle school, you know?
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Like, and that's the best part about what this book is it's just like representative of like how Jake and I typically hang out as friends. You know what I mean? Like, and that's and it weaves into like the like how the characters talk. Like Jake says, there's a lot of like the inside jokes of like what makes each other laugh. But what's cool about this is because we are fighting game fans as well. A lot of the like professional esports like fighting gamer terms are in there as well. Like, wow, such impressive normals, or spamming this, you know what I mean? Like, we're using a whole lot of terms into the script to make it a bit more like fan servicey, you know?
Okay. What's your favorite? What's your guys' favorite fighting game?
Oh man, that's a rough question for me.
Well,
it's hard.
Street Fighter is my favorite for sure.
The Street Fighter series.
Third Strike is my favorite one for sure.
Okay.
Fighter 3 Third Strike. Best Ken. That's why I'm excited for 6, because Ken is great. I played the beta.
Yeah, 6.
And I like Ken a lot.
I'm hyped for 6. I didn't like 4 and 5. I liked 4 a little better, but then it kind of like died off for me. And then
I got you.
I didn't really play 5, but
I got into it like later than most people. I didn't grow up with it. I came to it later, so I played a little bit of 4. I played a lot of 5, and I still play a lot of 5. I that's kind of my one that got me in it. And then I went back, played Third Strike, and those 2D sprites are just so beautiful. Like, I love the art style.
I
love it.
I grew up with fighting games. Like Smash is like, I mean, I love, it's like one of my favorite games series.
Hiram can kick some people's ass at Smash, dude. Like, I gave up trying to get good at that game.
Yo, we got it right here. Let's go,
bro.
Let's go. You got to give me your freaking Nintendo code, baby. I fucking play Smash all the time.
Oh yeah, no, I haven't played in like months, so I'm hella rusty. But I love playing it.
Oh, John's already. John's.
Yeah, I'm rusty as fuck too.
I'm rusty though. I haven't played.
I have not played in a long time. I've been playing Overwatch, but like I've grown up with fighting games for as long as I've been playing video games. So like games like Third Strike, games like Marvel vs. Capcom was big for me. I think like that was like the first game that I got me interested in fighting games. Like when I was really young. But I think Street Fighter 4 got me into playing fighting games more. even
Well,
though I know it
you were
wasn't.
pretty into 4.
So what?
You played a lot of 4.
I played a lot
Right?
of 4, yeah, well, like back when it came out, because that was
Yeah,
when I had the 360, and I
that
was
was huge.
yeah, that was huge, and like even though I like for all its flaws, like I still enjoyed it because I was like I think 13 or 12 when it came out, and so like I
Okay.
played that a bunch, and that
Shit.
was what got me into like
Wait.
the more
You were
traditional
13 or 12 when 4 came out?
Street Fighter 4. Street Fighter 4 came out in 2008, right around there.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I was
I
See,
was
that's
13.
where the age gap is coming in because I was
yeah
like
13.
21 when that shit came out. Like I
Damn.
was
Okay.
already
Yeah.
jumping at the
Yeah,
bars
yeah,
playing it.
Then
That's
you can
fucking
feel
crazy.
it. Yeah. Then you can feel it. Okay.
yeah.
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 Sorry about that. Yeah, yeah.
13 to
Shit, yo,
1 is
that's
a
fucking
bigger.
crazy. Yeah, so like
Funny.
I'm thinking because like so my favorite Street Fighter, obviously Street Fighter 2, you know,
Yeah.
that has a
Classic.
Oh yeah,
special
well
place.
that's a timeless
Yeah.
classic.
Yeah. I literally got the cartridge like right in my fucking closet. I got the Super Nintendo, the cartridge. I just had my boy say, "Yo, I'll buy your Super Nintendo from you." I'm like, I'm not selling that. Like that's my
Yeah.
fucking baby right there. But yeah, like I used to go to arcades and I used to play Street Fighter 2. Street Fighter 2 is like one of my favorite ones out of the old ones. I like Mortal Kombat a little bit. I'm not like the
It's
biggest
fun.
Mortal Kombat fan.
It's not like as competitive for me. That's like when I pop in with my friends and be like, "Yeah, I want to
Yeah.
be the Terminator." Like that's why I played that game. I'm like, "RoboCop's in it? Okay, I'll play. I'll play
Yeah,
it."
MK2 is still my favorite Mortal Kombat because it's just so ridiculous.
Like the older ones, like the
The
ones
older
where
ones,
fucking Liu Kang could get you in that infinite combo that you can never get out of.
oh
Like
man,
that
the
shit.
words were just like
Or it was
you know
broken
his legs.
back
Yeah,
when they
that
didn't
whole
patch
game
the
is broken.
games. Have you
So
played the
fucking
Turbo,
broken.
the Street Fighter 2 Rainbow Edition, where you can just do the craziest shit?
No.
It's like a
I didn't
broken
know.
Street Fighter cabinet where it was super. They call it Rainbow Edition now because you could shoot a Hadouken and it would go like this, or you could do an infinite Hurricane kick. And they have like a
Fucking
broken
crazy.
one at the arcade bar in town, so you can just go and like E Honda does his headbutt and he just goes back and forth on the screen. It's hilarious.
That's fucking crazy. That's nuts.
Fucking insane.
We
Yeah,
used
no,
to
we put a lot of that into that. And Jake, you forgot to mention that like we both got into Dragon Ball Fighters like at the same time.
Oh yeah, so me and Hiram were into fighting games separately, but then when we moved in together, that we were like, let's get that game. Looks good. And we got so into that game for like 3 months. Anytime the music with the super loud guitar music would come on, my girlfriend would just leave. She'd be like, "Well, bye," because we were just gonna play that all night. And that was what us sitting there being like, we should put some of this into, our book. So that
Yeah.
kind of that was the
I like
fire.
I like it. I like it. Marvel vs. Capcom 2 is up there for me. I would
That's
say
that's
between
like one of my favorite ones. 2
yeah,
and 3
Marvel
are amongst my favorites of all time.
yeah, 2 for me. Like I said, I'm older than you, so I was playing
Yeah.
that in the arcades when it was like only arcade. You could only play that game, and then when Dreamcast came out, you could like download it and shit. But yeah, that and Smash Brothers, like those 2 games, I've played in tournaments. I've gotten washed, but
Who's your
I played in
main?
tournaments. Yeah, and which game?
Smash.
In Smash, so the newest one that's out, I mean, I could play with Fox, Young Link. I could play with Mario. I could play with. I could pretty much play with everybody except for like the super new characters. Like I'm not playing with Sora. I'm not playing with what's
Terry?
that? What Sora from Kingdom Hearts.
No, I mean you don't play with Terry. Buster Wolf.
Terry Bogard.
I don't. I'm not a King of
KOF?
Fighters fan.
Oh, KOF.
Yeah.
Have you played KOF 13?
No. The last time I played
The
King
game's
of Fighters was SNK versus Street Fighter EO for GameCube.
Oh,
That was
okay.
the
So it's
That
been a
was for
while.
game. I thought that was for Dreamcast.
I mean, they might have had it out for Dreamcast, but
I know, yeah, because I know there was like SNK, like Capcom versus SNK 1, and there's Capcom versus SNK 2, the Millennium one.
I don't know. It could have been for Dreamcast. I'm not sure. It could have been for Dreamcast. But
Yeah,
I,
like let me know if
had
it's for GameCube because I'm gonna buy that like immediately.
Did you have a GameCube? You don't have a Dreamcast though,
No,
right?
no, I'm gonna get the Dreamcast soon though.
Yeah, I got. Yeah, shit. I still got both of those shits, but it's like now on the Switch, like they're kind of have like all of those games available, kind of a little bit, so you can kind of like manage. I'm still waiting for Marvel vs. Capcom 2 to be re-released.
Oh yeah, whenever.
Yeah, that's so weird that they
It's
haven't.
weird that they have it, yeah, because like I love Marvel vs. Capcom 2 because they have the most variety in characters, but 3 feels more like a balanced game than 2 because 2 is just broken.
Really? I feel like 2 is more balanced than 3. I
That's
feel like
interesting. Like
I
I
feel
think
like 2 is
because
the most balanced, and you can counter pick what somebody's picking. Like I used to go fucking hard in that game, man. Like my adrenaline's getting up right now. I used to go fucking hard. I remember one time I was playing with my brother. My brother picked Juggernaut. Who did he used to pick Juggernaut, like all the big dudes. And I remember I had Akuma, and you know Akuma, like 3 hits and he's done. I took out the whole team with Akuma, and the final move was Raging Demon. I was so hyped, punched a hole in my wall, and freaking like broke my hand, but it was the most glorious moment of my entire life. And I always tell my brother that. I think I still got like the scar. And he was like, "Yo, you were an idiot for punching a wall." I was like,
And you were
I
like,
just
you were
had
an
to do
idiot
it.
for losing.
you had to do it. You had to do it. You know, you
Had to
can't
do
like you finish a whole team and then you complete it with the Raging Demon. That's like some Justin Wong
And a
term.
real life Raging
Yeah.
Demon too to your wall.
Yeah, real life
yeah.
Raging Demon. But
Yeah,
let somebody pick Sentinel and do that infinite combo.
Yeah, that was my fucking team. Magneto, Sentinel. I got a couple teams, but Magneto, Sentinel, Akuma, Magneto, Morgan, Akuma, or Magneto, Morgan, Sentinel.
Yeah,
Like,
Magneto was pretty up there.
bro, yeah, people used to fucking get busy with fucking
And
Magneto.
Iceman. Oh man,
Yeah.
like there were so many cheating ass characters in MK2. It's insane. Servbot was just this tiny.
The fucking Lego.
The fucking
Servbot.
Lego dude, Servbot. Like
That was a good
Servbot-
era too, because it was like mostly X-Men. Because X-Men were booming in the 90s. And now
Yes.
it's just X-Men aren't being represented as much.
Yeah.
I miss
Well,
the
like I
X-Men.
think there was that weird thing when Disney bought Marvel back in
Yeah.
09, and that was around the time where when MBC 3 came out, and like Iron Man came out around that time. So like
Now, how many X-Men are in 3?
Wolverine.
Just- is it
There's
Wolverine?
X-Men in 3. In 3, Wolverine's in there, Phoenix is in there.
Phoenix, yeah.
Magneto's in
Storm's
there.
not in there.
Storm.
Who else?
Storm is in there.
Was
Yeah.
Storm ever in
Storm.
there? Was Storm in 2?
Yeah, Storm was in 2.
Storm was
good
like
in 2.
like those 3 were in the because like Marvel vs. Capcom started with X-Men versus Street Fighter, and then it
Yes.
became
Yeah,
Had that one too.
Because X-Men was just the most popular shit back then. It was like
Yeah,
that was
like
the
it was
Yeah.
big. Like that was when Capcom was making like all like the
When-
the licensed games for Disney. Like
when
Marvel.
Cyclops was in it. Where'd
Yep.
he go?
Cyclops
Cyclops.
was in 2, and he's not in 2 anymore. I mean, he's not in any of the games anymore.
Yeah, no, I
No.
don't think. Oh, and in 4, none of the X-Men are in there, I believe, because
Infinite?
yeah, and they just put
Yeah.
like the regular Avengers in there. So fucking
Oh,
Hawkeye,
weird.
Doctor
Wolverine's
Strange.
not in that one?
No.
No.
I don't think Spider-Man was
What?
in there either, right?
Spider-Man was in there, but
Oh,
they
okay.
all look
Okay.
ugly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
They had Captain Marvel fucking in there. You know.
They got, but like they did get like the Winter Soldier and Black Panther. That was like Black Panther's debut in Marvel vs.
Yeah.
Capcom, which I thought was way overdue.
Yeah,
Because I feel like he'd be like really great in 3. I really like
Was
3
Ghost Rider back?
because
I always liked Ghost Rider in 3.
Ghost Rider in 3 was fantastic.
bro, insane. Most cheesiest character. You
Oh,
can't
really?
get around them fucking whips.
No, because like the whips have insane like the range is. He has more range than Virgil in that game. It's insane.
That's
Oh, I
crazy.
forgot about fucking Virgil.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
forgot about
like,
Wesker's in there.
Wesker,
too.
yeah, like that's
Oh,
what I'm saying.
man.
It's like
a lot of Resident
three-
Evil guys.
three
right?
three
Yeah.
to me
and Leon?
was like
Or
great
no?
because like the gameplay variety was like there. Like there's just so much you can do because like with 2 it's like because it's an older game you pick like the characters to exploit. That was it. You know what I mean? Like there's no patches for that. But with 3
Yeah.
it's like you can counterpick more. There's like they update the game so it's like a
Yeah.
little bit more balanced. They patch things because it was like
Oh,
it made it
fucking
into
Nemesis, bro.
Nemesis. Oh my
Mad
god!
fucking
What a-
annoying.
Phoenix Wright, like the lawyer guy.
Objection.
Objection. You know,
I forgot
bad.
about him.
we got a lot. We have a lot of those fighting game like in like tournament arc and like combo terms in Blood Force Trauma as well. Going
Mhm.
back into the comic, like when I come up with ideas for characters for this book, I think about those fighting games and I write it as a cartoon in my head. And Jake, you can kind of like follow suit with that, is like, and he does it really
Yeah.
well. but I also think about fighting games, not just like Street Fighter, Marvel vs. Capcom, but also Killer Instinct, also Virtua Fighter, Power Stone. Not many people hear about Power Stone.
Power Stone, that's Dreamcast right there.
Dreamcast, yeah. Like, no, I know a lot of, like Darkstalkers. Do you remember Darkstalkers?
Yes, of course. Fucking Morgan and Felicia from
Felicia,
Darkstalkers.
yeah. Like, there's a character that's like that came up with that's directly inspired from characters like Felicia and stuff like that.
That's
dope.
They just came out with the Darkstalkers like re-release, right?
Yeah. Like Capcom did like that thing where they released a lot of their old beat 'em ups and a lot of their old fighting games, and I rip from beat 'em ups too, like Streets of Rage. Final Fight.
I got the new. Is it Double Dragon or Streets of? I think it's Streets of Rage.
Streets of Rage 4.
And I also got the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I actually played that on my fucking YouTube channel.
Those games are awesome.
Dope. Music by T Lopes. Oh, he's one of my favorite guys.
So like that shit, that's the shit that I was fucking playing in the fucking arcades. I was over at Hot Skates in Long Island, fucking playing the Simpsons game where it's like the side scrolling's got all 4 joysticks so everybody could play. And then you're walking and trying to find a girl that you were talking to who was on the skates. Fucking, yeah.
Back in the day, shit. Man. Have you played Soul Calibur? Soul Calibur was one of the games I used to play as a kid. I used to play so much Soul Calibur.
Soul Calibur 2 and 3.
Yes.
But 2 is the best one.
2 is the best one. I had that on GameCube.
What system?
GameCube.
Yes.
Link.
Yes.
You have to get Link.
Link? Woo! Oh my God. I can't tell you. I would have like 10, 15 people in my house literally playing this one game, Soul Calibur. My top character, Voldo and Mitsurugi. Nobody was fucking with me.
Voldo is so strange to get good with. Kudos to you. Mine was like definitely Link and a lot of Keelik. I love Keelik because I like stick guys.
That's like the Ryu of the game.
Yeah, well, I thought Mitsurugi was like the Ryu of the game because he was like the main character.
It's definitely Killick. It's the dude with the no shirt off, muscle, brown hair. He's got like the cool weapon that everybody wants to be. It's like, it's definitely 1000% Killick.
Oh yeah, like that was like also with like you have Maxie who has like nunchucks, like how like Jean-Moi, I think that's her name. Nightmare
Zung Fa, the chick who like you could do the little crying move and people can't touch you while she's laying on the floor. Not like that like toothpick blade.
Yep.
Yeah, man, I fucking love that
game is dope. We also get from Tekken, Killer Instinct.
That's another game that I started playing in the arcades before they actually, I guess, like released it on
PlayStation
consoles, and everything. Soul Edge was actually the first version of that game. And that was in arcades, and then it was out for PlayStation. Again, it's like that 6-year gap, especially when you're younger. It's like, yo,
I know
fuck right now.
Yeah, you remember a whole lot, man. That's for sure.
I remember Virtua Fighter at like the movie theater. Like my movie theater had a little arcade, so we had Virtua Fighter there. But like, I didn't get to play. I mean, I've gotten to play a lot of the games now because I found arcades that. Like little arcades now. So I found like a Third Strike cabinet. That was like a huge find because you can't, that's like, there's like a website dedicated to finding those cabinets because they're so hard to find. And I was like, there's one here. And we drove like higher. That was like, what was it? Like 2 hours away? It was pretty far.
So yeah, it was like a while
to go play Third Strike, but it was worth it. It was worth it.
Definitely worth it.
There was I used to live in Long Island, and they used to have a place where you can buy the arcade machines that were like designed for it. In fact, one of my friends here, so now I'm in Wilmington, North Carolina, he has an arcade machine where it's got the joysticks and everything, but it's got like 10,000 games on there. It's like insane.
Oh yeah.
So you can go to the fighting section. It has Marvel vs. Capcom. It's got Tekken, Soul. It's literally got everything on there.
That's
insane.
Insane.
Yeah, insane.
That is crazy.
He spent like 2,000 on it, but it's nuts. Well, so let's go to this. So because your project is inspired heavily by 80s and 90s, and both of you guys, what is I'll start off with the 80s. What's your favorite thing from the 80s, especially with you guys being so young? And I'm gonna obviously assume that you didn't grow up in the 80s.
Yeah,
What's your favorite thing from the 80s?
Jake, you want to go
Like
first?
movies and stuff,
It
or
could be
what?
fucking anything. Lunchboxes, movies, cartoons, art, whatever it is.
I think my obsession with the '80s like comes from like what was going on in the like a lot of the pop culture stuff that we really come to love came from the '80s because it was such a huge shift in the cultural zeitgeist. Like
Oh, you getting like crazy with these big words and
well,
shit.
it's
Okay, it's a
like how,
fucking
for example,
zeitgeist.
Whoa.
how Japan was like post World War II, right? Like how
Okay.
anime like started to really become more popular in the West with movies like Akira, with like like the original Dragon Ball, like Hello Kitty, like a bunch of stuff that was developed in the 1980s in Japan. Like I started to get really into like just like movies in general, like Indiana Jones, Ghostbusters, um, Goonies. I love like those escapist films that were really prevalent in the 1980s. I love Back to the Future.
Yes.
Like Who Framed Roger Rabbit. I love music from the 80s, particularly like Michael Jackson, like that post disco era where it was like late 70s, like transitioning to early 80s, the Thriller era, Purple Rain coming out in like 1984 by Prince, and how that androgynous era like kind of like was shifted to male artists and stuff like that. That was really
Where you
cool.
couldn't tell if the fucking male artists were actually women artists and vice
Exactly. You look at Mickey Free from Shalimar, you're like, is that a man? You know what I mean? Like it was that kind of intrigue that brought, and like there was like for the LGBT community, they were dealing with the AIDS crisis that they were blamed for, and they made a whole lot of art and a lot of queer art and a whole lot of drag performers just came out of the woodwork and became more confident. Artists like Keith Haring, Basquiat, um, like yeah, just like a whole bunch of like cultural shifting things that happened in the 1980s from people of color and from the gay community and from like multiple artists in general, like just kind of coming alive. The Disney Renaissance started in 1989 with Little Mermaid, and that became a huge cultural phenomenon. Like a whole lot of cultural phenomenon in the 1980s. Also, like the colors, like a lot of neon colors and synths.
Yeah.
Jim Henson's Muppets like movie. He had like a whole lot of movies coming out, like Dark Crystal.
Love
like
it.
For a decade that I didn't exist in, 1980s was like that kind of period where I was like, man, like I would have loved to have grown up here, but I didn't.
It's cool because we have like our perspective. We just missed it, so we can look back on it without maybe someone who was in it being like, "Oh, that's what was happening." Like we have an outside perspective to be like, "You don't understand." Like these like we don't realize all the crazy things that are happening and where we're living, but this is shit that's going on lately. Is what people are going to learn about in their school as history and be like, that happened, and we'll be like, I lived it, man. It's not that big of a deal,
To think that like my kids are going to be looking in textbooks like, the presidency between Donald Trump and Biden, or Hillary. I was about to say Hillary Duff, fucking Hillary Clinton, whatever. The president. The battle
That's
between
what I
Donald
hope
Trump.
The textbooks say, dude.
Yeah,
it's just like they mess it up, and she's Hillary Duff forever.
Hillary Duff versus Donald Trump is a fucking wild storyline. That is
that's awesome.
Different universe right there.
Yeah.
But yeah, just like the COVID epidemic, like everything, and it's nuts that that's gonna be in textbooks. And it's like, yo, I was fucking there. It's
you
like,
were fucking there. Exactly. And so, like, and even in the cultural period in 1980, like, even on a political level, I think, like, Ronald Reagan was, like, the president around that time. And, like, he met up with Michael Jackson. Because, like, Michael Jackson's Thriller was, like, such a huge, like racial barrier breaking thing. And, like, it's like a whole lot of stuff that came from the 80s was, like, really pivotal.
It's huge.
And I love the motion graphics. Like there's just something about like the the synths and like things glowing, and I love that kind of. It feels really magical.
Sure. It's got that weird, and a lot of things lately 80s, like I think the kind of 80s nostalgic renaissance like was started with Stranger Things a few years ago, and then all these things started being like then the It movies, and then all these things were like the 80s. This is like something about like people, like I don't know, it just hits on all those levels and people love it. So Hiram is the one that kind of introduced me to that like color scheme and the kind of that aesthetic, because I was grew up Nickelodeon 90s kind of stuff. Okay. And then Hiram was like, don't forget the 80s. And then I was like, I would love a comic book like this. Like there aren't many. And now I feel like, because we actually started this a few years ago, now I feel like it's popping up. Like there's some cool ones that look like, you know, kind of that aesthetic, and I'm all for it. Like the more 80s inspired comics, the better. So like we draw heavily from like, you know, I'm more into like, I'm into all that stuff too, but there's also like, kind of our characters are inspired by my love of like the macho men of the 80s, like Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sylvester Stallone. And like, we kind of like to poke fun at that because it is like a nostalgic, like we love those movies, but they're so like now the idea of the rippling muscle man is kind of funny. So we have characters like that who are like so over the top but we still look back on it with fondness because I love all those movies too. So we just put all that stuff in there, and Hiram, you already got me. You said zeitgeist. I can't really top somebody who says zeitgeist.
Yeah, right. He threw that out there.
Like
shit, I got nothing.
Even going with the like, we can like going into the 90s, it was the same for us too. Mostly for Jake, like, it's like that was like, I think that is more indicative of your art style, honestly, like or reflective of your art style. That's very 90s grunge. Like I feel like Jake loves to draw a lot of settings with like that's really urban with a fuck ton of graffiti on it that I always love to see. Because like the way Jake you draw that in or write that in, I always thought was cool because it doesn't look out of place when you do it. Yet you can write anything you want. That blows.
There was like for sure. Like there was a lot of that in like Image, like the 90s Image boom and Spawn and Youngblood and all that stuff, and like they just kind of got what the kids of the 90s wanted. They wanted like the crazy over the top like chains and pouches and like 48 like huge guns on, and I love that, taking some of that too and putting it in my own art. And they always drew like the New York with the smoke and the bricks that were like falling out of the every alleyway that Spawn was in looked like it was just going to crumble and fall apart. And I love the dirtiness of that kind of art style. So
I lived in New York in the 90s. It was looking like that. I mean, there's some parts of New York that look like that right now. So it's like they were kind of accurate. There was way more graffiti in the early 90s. Obviously the 80s, but definitely the early 90s. And then I forget who put in like the rules, like, yo, if you're doing graffiti, it's like you're going to jail for life. Like you're getting the electric chair, and then it kind of like stopped for
Jesus.
But yeah, I think it was Julian. It was somebody, but like, yeah, they went on like the whole thing. So like what you were saying from the 80s when you threw zeitgeist and tried to show us up with your vocabulary, right? I was about to say, I was like, yo, my favorite thing about the 80s was Taco Bell, like the colors, and then it's like with the Basquiat's and like I was like, oh shit. I was like, yo, he giving me like a legit answer. But yeah, I don't even know where the fuck I was going. Just got like an open
thesaurus like sitting right there, and he's just like looking at. He's like, oh, that'll be good. I'll get him on that one.
Yeah, but what was I saying? Oh yeah, so I guess with graffiti, with the chains, and kind of like how you're saying with Image Comics, like I could see that kind of bleeding over into the 90s.
For sure.
It's very interesting because I had a massive amount of cards that I think I just got rid of because I moved, but I had like Image cards. Like I don't even know where I got these from, but they were just like all these random ass characters that I had never seen before. Everybody outside of Spawn. Like outside of Spawn and his characters, but like there was this lizard dude with like a fucking mohawk and he was like a police officer. I was like, I never heard of this guy before. There was like this other dude who was in like a full suit and it was almost like a Black Panther, Batman type of person. I never knew any of these characters, but me and my brother, we just used to like look at those shits.
No, I bought on eBay. I just typed in random 90s Image lot because I just wanted, because they approved whatever because they were making millions in the 90s at Image. They were making so much money, so they just any comic they could come up with, they would just throw out words. There was like, so I got a big stack, and there's a guy just named Death Blow, and then there was another one called Blood Pool, and I was like Wild Strike. They're just like, what 2 words do we have? Let's put them together, and that's a book. Whatever.
That's funny.
We put a lot of that,
anything.
Yeah, we put a lot of that naming convention into like the characters in the story as well.
Mm-hmm. I could tell. It's like I can't even think of it right now, but I understand what you mean as far as the names. It's like when you look at characters now, it's like characters just have like it's almost like their first and last name. It's like very weird.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Like nobody has like authentic like superhero names, if that makes sense. And maybe because I watch anime and most anime is just like their names. So
They're just
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, that's why you'd like wrestling, dude. There's a guy in AEW called Luchasaurus.
That's a fucking nasty name. What? Luchasaurus.
He's a dinosaur man that does like power bombs on people.
Yeah, that's like way out of my scope. I'm Stone Cold, Goldberg, Rey Mysterio, like this
Oh,
is like
yeah.
30, 40 years ago. Like
That's
yeah.
hilarious.
Nuts. So I'll revert this question to the 90s. What's your both of you guys' favorite thing about the 90s?
cartoons.
Cartoons, yeah.
Which cartoons?
For sure.
Cartoons.
SpongeBob. That's
like,
late 90s, though.
Well,
but
like
yeah.
like Ren and Stimpy, like Rocko's Modern
Rocco.
Rugrats.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ren and Stimpy's legendary
Capri
cartoon.
Suns.
Yeah, Capri
Suns.
Capri Suns, Sunny D. You know what I mean?
Yo, I remember the first time I saw Capri Suns. Like black people, we didn't really have Capri Suns like back in the. All of ours was just Kool-Aid. So Kool-Aid
Yeah.
or maybe like High C Hawaiian Punch. But I remember the first time I saw Capri Suns, I was at my neighbor's house and he had it, and the straw was orange. So I thought it was cheese. I was like, "There's no
Ew.
way I'm fucking drinking cheese
That's
out of a
nasty.
fucking aluminum foil baggie." I was like, "Yo, you
And he
guys
was
are
like, "Come
disgusting
on."
here." And yeah,
Yeah,
and it was for
you love
years. But he didn't explain it like it was juice. He was just like, "Here, try it." And I'm like, "I'm not freaking drinking cheese. Where's out of here?" And it
he
was for
like,
months,
okay.
for months, until I was like, "You know what? Let me just try this." And I was like, "Oh, it's juice." And then after that, you know, the love for Capri Sun is there.
Yeah.
I
And then it was,
thought the straws was cheese,
I
bro.
thought that shit was cheese. Nuts.
that's
I would have to
cheese.
say
He's
my
like,
favorite.
it's not.
My favorite thing out of the 90s, Pink Ranger. Fire.
Oh, Kimberly.
Pink Ranger,
Mighty
Topanga.
Morphin.
Oh
Topanga.
my god.
I forgot
Yes.
about Topanga.
Yo, I used
Oh,
to
man.
be in love with them. Holy shit. Yeah.
Damn.
Oh damn.
Nuts.
When Corey would mess it up with Topanga, I was like, "What are you doing, man? Like,
No,
come on."
I would be like, good, it's my turn.
Yeah.
My turn. Get
I
this
love that
guy
episode
outta
where you
here.
showed up and you got Topanga. That was my favorite episode of Look at Slow.
I wish.
That'd be great.
Yeah,
no, I think the Batman
Power Rangers too.
Power
Power
Rangers,
Rangers too.
the first
Like
Ninja Turtle, the Ninja Turtles movies, the live action one.
Yeah.
I think
Great.
wasn't the first one I believe was like 89, right?
1990. The
Oh,
very
was it
Yeah,
90?
90.
yeah. The interesting
Right
thing about
there,
the very first Ninja Turtles film is that like it was the highest grossing independent film because it was New Line Cinema and they were like the new production company, and you worked with Jim Henson to make the turtle suits that to me still hold up to this day. To this day,
Yeah.
Nothing
holds up.
competes. Nothing
can
competes.
compete with that first iteration. And
Yeah.
and to me, the reason why I like that movie so much because I used to have the tape.
Dominoes.
Movies. Say what?
Because you love Dominoes.
Because I love Dominoes. What did
I
they do?
can't-
That's
Dominoes?
what you're
Did
gonna
they?
say.
Yes,
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
first and the
Dominoes.
second one, yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
I
yes.
can't watch that movie without saying, "Damn, I want Domino's right now."
Bro,
They make
the second
Domino's
one-
so
funny.
good.
It was funny because they were in New York, right? And there's such good pizza there, and I love that they're like Dominoes. Though we gotta have Dominoes.
You gotta have
Oh, you know
Dominoes.
what?
You know what's funny? Like they make those
We
pizzas
still
like
order
so
Domino's
cheesy.
in New York.
Really?
Yeah, yo, we still order. Like my wife would be like, "Yo,
That's
I'm in the
fine.
mood for but I'm in the mood for Domino's. You're
Oh,
never getting
specific.
Domino's when you're in the mood for pizza. That's the only
Exactly.
loophole
Yeah,
there.
you gotta be in the
That's
mood for
the only-
Domino's specifically.
Yes.
Yeah, you want
Yeah.
you want a lava cake. That's when I order
Yes.
Domino's.
There
I
you
want
go.
that lava cake.
Lava cake, bro. But like the reason why I like the
Sponsored
first,
by Domino's. This whole podcast.
the reason why I love the first Ninja Turtles movie so much is because it's a great time capsule that transitions from like the 1980s to the 90s culturally. You know what I mean? What the kids were into at that time. And
Like Vanilla Ice,
and that was the second one.
right? No,
Yes.
no, I know.
Yeah.
Ninja Rap, baby. Oh
Yeah.
my god, you guys are like
Go
bringing,
Ninja,
like,
go Ninja, go.
Go
Yeah.
Ninja, go Ninja, go
Fucking
Ninja,
memories.
Ninja, rap.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's crazy that they made the movie that way because New York City in like that 80s period was fucking wild. It was fucking crazy. So I just watched that movie recently, and I'm like, holy shit, New York is dirty as fuck, yo.
Yeah.
It is.
Gross. But that's the character of New York. And that's what it is. And obviously, again, it's a lot cleaner right now. But like you said, it's a time capsule. So I'm always thinking the shit that I'm like, when my kids are old enough and I can watch it with them, like when I show them this, they're probably gonna ask me a bunch of questions about this area where I live. Like, yo, were there foot soldiers like on the way to school? Like, what? And I'm like, no. But
did
like,
Shredder have a sick ass like skate park where all the kids could hang out? And that was the best part as a kid. I was like, I want to be on Shredder's team. That place looks awesome.
That shit made me want to learn karate. And made me want to be in the fucking Foot Clan because
and it made you want to smoke cigarettes, regular or menthol.
That is fucking jokes. Yeah, yo, they were fucking. It was like a fucking massive clubhouse. Like our dream was to have a clubhouse that big where it's arcade, skating, music, food, like
Shredder knew
everything. So fucking crazy.
Shredder knew how to get the kids. Like that was the most dastardly thing. Was he knew how to trick all the kids. He probably had loads of Capri Sun like everywhere.
And how did he fucking notice? It's like, yo, didn't you come from fucking feudal Japan? And like, I saw the first movie. How do you know about all of this stuff?
He had like an assistant who was like, hey, the kids, they love Capri Sun. You should buy all that shit. And Shredder was like, all right,
I'll
do it. It's not cheese, Shredder. Shredder was like, is this cheese? And they were like, no, Shredder. It's a straw.
You know what it is, man? You know what it is? Like, 90s was that era of parents just don't understand. And so, like, you're gonna have a lot of that, like in like the clubs and
all
stuff.
The parents on Nickelodeon cartoons, like the Rugrats, like they were all idiots. It was that
they were all goofy and dumb. Yeah,
You say that. Do you guys have kids?
No.
I feel like Stu Pickle, right? I'm telling you, right? I feel like that episode where Stu Pickle was up in the middle of the night making fucking pudding or jello for a fucking Angelica. I do that shit now. Like last night, my fucking son was crying, and I'm sitting in the fucking kitchen at 4:00 in the morning making a bottle of fucking oat milk, and then I make it, and then I fucking spill it over, and I'm like, yo, it's 4:00 in the morning. Why the fuck am I doing that?
And you yelled, I'm Stu Pickles.
Yes. I really thought that, like, yo, Tommy and Phil and Lil, like, they were the shit. It's like, no. Stu and the parents, those are the real fucking characters. That's life right there.
These stupid babies trying to break out of their crib, and they're like, we're trying to protect you. You're a baby. You're going to die. And they're like, idiot Stu. What's the mom's name? Dee Dee or something?
Yeah, Dee Dee.
Yeah, just Dee Dee. And then Dexter's sister was Dee Dee. I wish that name would come back. What a great name.
Yeah, there was a lot of D. There were a lot of D names in the 90s.
Yeah. But
what would you choose, Nickelodeon or Cartoon Network?
That's hard.
90s Nickelodeon. 90s Nickelodeon.
Yeah, straight 90s.
Nickelodeon in the 90s for sure.
Oh yeah, in the 90s Nickelodeon, but in the era that we grew up in, specifically like the late 90s to the 2000s, for me it was definitely like a balance of both. Like I loved SpongeBob. And Ed and Eddie is my favorite cartoon of all time.
Oh yeah, I wasn't allowed to watch Ed and Eddie. That's why.
But if you had to choose like between Nickelodeon or Cartoon Network, like your parents are like, yo, we're poor, we can only afford one channel.
Oh,
Nickelodeon or Cartoon Network.
Nickelodeon.
That's hard. That's
in
hard.
the 90s.
That's so hard.
90s.
Yes.
If it's just straight 90s, I would say
in the 90s.
But it's hard still because like you have like Cow and Chicken.
What other Cartoon Network was in? Yeah, Cow and Chicken is the only thing I can remember.
Dexter's Laboratory, Powerpuff Girls.
Powerpuff Girls.
Oh shit!
Cow and Chicken.
Cow and Chicken. I Am Weasel.
I Am Weasel. Yeah. They had all of Banana Splits. They had Looney Tunes. Taxi Avery Show.
Yeah.
There's a lot of shit on Cartoon Network.
That's why I can't.
But did they have?
That's why I can't do it,
bro. And you know what? And you know, I'm going with Cartoon Network. You know why? Because when it used to be like late at night, and you used to get all those weird ass cards like Johnny Quest. I'm not getting rid of Johnny Quest. I'm not getting rid of Johnny Quest. And then when they used to have the infomercials while you're trying to go to sleep, the infomercials with the blue screen, like Nickelodeon didn't have that. You know what Nickelodeon gave you? Fucking I Love Lucy and fucking Flipper and all that shit. Like you can't go to sleep with those because you're gonna be watching them.
Did Nick
Yeah,
at
I
Night
had
still
no
Nick at
exist?
business
Night
fucking
was the
watching the
worst,
Brady
man.
Bunch when I was fucking. But it's like, yo, I'm watching it. But Nick,
I like Nick at Night. Nick at Night had George Lopez.
Nick at Night
They
would
had
come
on
on.
Fresh Prince.
Nick at Night would come on, and it would be like Full House, and you'd be like, "Well, the night's over." That's how you knew. You were like, "Well, I guess
yeah, but
cartoons are over."
that's not the '90s though. The '90s, like Nick at Night in the '90s, had all of the black and white TV shows. See,
Oh,
you
so
guys
it's
don't
like what
remember that.
It's like what Boomerang is now.
Not
that what
not
you're saying?
even not because Boomerang is just all cartoons though.
Isn't
I
it?
think
Oh,
the only
was it
thing
not
on
cartoons?
Boomerang that was
Cartoons.
like live action was Banana Splits. I don't know if you guys remember that.
Oh,
But if
I
you want to see a
barely
show
do.
where the creators were on acid and was like, yo, let's make a kids TV show, that's what the fuck Banana Splits is.
Yeah, no, like Jake, you should watch the intro to Banana Splits. Like, it's so weird. It's so weird that they made
is that song?
They
It goes,
made a cheap horror movie.
Yes,
out of
that's
Banana
exactly it. That is exactly
I've
it.
seen it. I've seen it.
They were.
I did not
definitely
know
on
from
all
that
the
video
fucking
that was a
drugs.
kid's show. I would not assume that was a kid's show.
Yeah, no, it's
It
a
is.
strange kid show. Like the horror movie that they made out of it was funny.
Oh, they did do that. They're making
made a
horror
horror
movies
movie
out of
the
like
Banana
all the
Splits.
kid shit. Like they just did Winnie the Pooh. They got a Grinch horror movie that's coming out.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
man,
feel
I'm
like there's
down.
this growing trend now with like old kid shows and movies being turned into, or like in books being turned.
It's because we've grown up. The people
Yeah.
that watched it have grown up, and they're like, "Oh, that'd be funny. Now I can watch something like that." So I get that.
Yeah,
That's good. They should make a Barney would be good. Barney would be a good horror movie.
they're making like a Barney documentary. Well, they made a Barney documentary
it's
now
out already.
about like how Barney was used like as a kids show, how it became popular, but also how people came to hate it as well. That "I Love You" song, like how that was used to torture people in like Guantanamo Bay or some like maximum
fucking
security.
Oh my god! Yeah, we hated that song growing up. It's so
Yeah,
cool.
I don't know anybody that liked that song.
I love
Here's a real funny take, right? Y'all gonna make fun of me with this, but I actually grew up with Barney as from the '90s.
Oh, me too.
Because I was born in '95, so like mom like saw that I really loved Barney as a kid. I had the tapes from the '90s as a kid, and I every now and then still watch those tapes as an adult. Funny enough, it's weird.
For fun.
There was this movie in the '90s called Barney's Great Adventure, and it's really bad. It's terrible.
Remember the Halloween one?
No.
And then you Pop Goes the Weasel.
It's one where Barney like goes on an adventure and he has to save an alien egg thing, and it's really dumb. But it's funny because Kyla Pratt, that was her movie debut before she did Love and
shit.
Basketball in the Proud Family.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
Yeah.
Was
I
the
was
Proud
telling my
Family
wife this
'90s or was that
morning.
2000s?
that
Well,
was 2000s, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was telling my wife this morning because like my kids have like all these little kid shows that they watch, and I'm like, yo, I can't remember anything outside of like Sesame Street or maybe like Reading Rainbow, but like I can't remember anything that I was watching that was like kiddish, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I remember I was fucking watching like Ren and Stimpy when I was like
Yeah.
3 years old, 4 years old, or whatever it was. Like
Ren
yeah,
and
I was
Stimpy is
watching-
not for kids. Just never.
No. Yeah.
I mean, it was
you
on
watch,
Nickelodeon. It was like
They
I
made-
still remember like that where he had the pimple and he took the vice grips and ripped it off. Like that shit is so disgusting, but it's like satisfying at the same time.
Yeah, John Kay
It's
was
funny.
a pretty crazy man. Well, nowadays for
Well,
better or
it's
for
funny
worse.
because I was like mixing, like I think I was doing that. I think I was going back and forth. I was watching the little kid shows because it was on a different channel, or it was at a different time, Nick Jr. or whatever. And then when it became the adults, it's almost like I was growing up every day. Like I was like kid me watching like The Bear in the Big Blue House. Do you remember that one?
Yes, I actually I just turned that shit on for my daughter. She didn't
It's a
fucking-
great show.
Playhouse Disney, great kids
Oh.
channel. Yeah,
They had like
Um,
PB&J on there.
they had.
like,
So there was
yeah,
like
yeah.
Nick
Roly
Jr.
Poly Oly.
There was
Yeah.
Nick Jr. There was Nick Jr. that had like shows like Blue's Clues and
Yeah. I was big into Blues
I'm
Clues.
blanking on Maggie and the Ferocious Beast. I think that's a deep cut.
You remember?
Yeah,
that is
Eureka's
a deep cut.
Castle.
Dora the Explorer. Say what?
You remember Eureka's Castle?
No, I don't remember that
Yeah,
one.
see that's the age gap right there.
That's the
Eureka's
deep
Castle
cut.
used to go on Nick Jr. David the Gnome used to be on Nick Jr. And
We'll
yeah,
put a
it's
David
like
the Gnome character in our book.
Yeah, we gotta.
fucking yeah, go right
Wait,
ahead. It was
what show was There's a
weird fucking
show,
show.
Big Comfy Couch, I think.
Oh yeah, I
Yeah.
watched the shit out of
See,
that
like
show.
those shits that you're mentioning, that's like when I was a little older, so I wasn't watching those things like Big Comfy Couch, and they had that girl who was like a little ragdoll, Raggedy
Yeah,
Man or some shit like that. I don't know what the fuck her name was. Like all of that shit, like that was.
you were on your way out.
Yeah, I was definitely old at that point.
You
But
were
yeah,
looking at the
even
other kids watching that, and you were like, "I'm not a baby. I'm not watching Big Comfy
I am
Couch."
too good for you guys. All right. Yeah. But yeah, so what I was saying before is on Nick at Night, they were playing I Dream of Jeannie, Brady Bunch,
Wow.
Beverly Hillbillies, like all of the old
Oh,
shows
okay.
that were like black and white. And I remember
Yeah.
that shit. So after all of the cartoons and shit, even on like Saturdays when Snick would be on, then it would go to Nick at Night and they would show all of those shits, and that would be the shit that I was watching. Or with Cartoon Network, as like it would get to later, they'd show Johnny Quest and Yogi Bear and like all of that stuff, like the Hanna-Barbera. But then they would have like all of the infomercials, so that's when you knew it was like time to go to sleep. So you know how
Yeah.
Cartoon Network went to like Adult Swim, they didn't have that.
Yeah.
So their block would end maybe at like 10 o'clock or so, and then it would just be random infomercials until maybe like 6 a.m. or 7 a.m. where it'd go back to Cartoon Network.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, so it's like
A
weird.
couple
It's like
years
they
ago,
didn't
they
own
did
their
like
channel.
a thing on Adult Swim called infomercials, and it was pretending to be infomercials, but then they became crazy, and it was that Too Many Cooks video.
Too Many Cooks. What the hell is
So there
that?
was like at like 2 a.m, they would do these fake infomercials. This was like just a few years ago, and if you type in Too Many Cooks, it's pretending to be like an old sitcom.
Okay.
And the intro just keeps going and going and going. It's like 12 minutes long, and there's the characters that look at the camera and they say their name.
Yeah.
It was like that, but it was 12 minutes long, and there was just like so many family members. And then by the end, there's like a murderer in the background of every shot, and then he's a character, but he's covered in blood. And it's just like the craziest video. But they did one like that. There was one where he's selling a broom. It's like an infomercial. Like he's like, it's a great broom, but by the end of it, he's like killed everyone in the studio with the broom. It's pretty funny.
Yeah,
but it was them doing
I'm gonna
like
check
how
that out.
Adult Swim. Yeah, it was like how they used to do those infomercials, but they were like, let's make it a show and not tell anyone it's fake. And it was pretty funny.
Yeah, Adult Swim would always do some weird shit like that.
They always did. It's funny. Like you always mention the age gap, but you forgot one big thing that happened on the Cartoon Network channel that aired in the '90s that we forgot to mention. That was a big inspiration for me, and honestly, a big inspiration for this this book, Toonami.
Yeah. Oh
yeah.
yeah, of course. I gotta mention the OG.
Can't
The
forget the
triple
OG Toonami.
Don't forget about
Tom.
Tom. Yeah.
Let's not forget
He
about
had so many
Tom.
versions. Who was
Tom-
your least favorite version? Mine was the one where he had a face, and it was weird. Remember
Yeah,
that?
yeah,
not
yeah.
talk-
Nah,
let's not
get
talk
that
about
Tom
the
out of
face.
here. Get that Tom out of here. I'm
Let's not
talking
talk
about
about
the
that
OG
one.
Tom, where he had the helmet and you didn't know, and he had that sexy ass voice.
That's
Yeah.
Stephen Bloom's sexy as with. Yes, thank you for
That
mentioning
voice, yo. Oh my god.
Toonami.
Tom made it cool to like anime. Because
Yeah,
I
he
remember,
did.
and I was talking about this with Okami and Pandio because we're the fucking old guys. So, it's like when you watched anime, like it was very niche and like almost no one really watched it. So when I was in
Yeah.
elementary school, I probably had like 3-4 friends that watched anime, and most of it was Dragon Ball Z. Sailor Moon was popular with maybe like a few girls, but not like too much. It was like one girl who just loved Sailor Moon. But other than
Yeah.
that, it's like nobody else really liked anime. But until like Toonami started to come out, now it's like anime is like the biggest
Yeah.
thing, ever for kids. And it's like, you guys had it easy.
Toonami.
Man.
But yeah, because my
Oh, yeah.
intro to anime was Naruto on Toonami, because there was that thing where he was like, in your favorite ninja show, Naruto, and it was him punching Haku in the face, and they would show that over and over again. I was like, that looks badass, because it looked violent, and I was right at that age where I was like, when you start being like, I want to watch something a little bit,
Edgy.
that I'm not supposed to watch, and
Yeah.
so Naruto was my intro, and it was like, I think I started because you couldn't go back and watch it. You had to watch whatever the one was on TV. So I was watching like the Forest of Death arc was what I started on, and then I had to go back and start over. But that's what got me into anime was Toonami.
That's insane. Is that the
Same
same
for
for
me.
you?
Same for me.
Yeah, that's
Really?
Like, yeah, like I was
insane.
into
Insane.
I was into Dragon Ball. That was when I was into Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z. Like they were playing both, and I like them for different reasons. And that's a whole other conversation I'll tell you about with like how I feel about Dragon Ball. But like Dragon Ball, Inuyasha, Yu Yu Hakusho, Sailor Moon.
Oh yeah.
I kind of dabbled in all of those. Yeah, like that was like my intro to anime for sure as well. Like absolutely. In my
Fucking
formative
dope.
years.
That is incredible, man. So I like this. This was a fucking really dope conversation. Obviously we got to
thanks.
talk a little bit about you guys. Who you guys are, how you guys just got into comics, how you guys work. I love the 2-man team aspect. But then I also like that I got to know you guys. Like I get to see from an age that is close to me, but it's still not that close to where I could see what influences guys. Like to hear you guys be influenced by the 80s and 90s at your age, that's beautiful, especially the 90s because I fucking that's what fucking made me. That's where I fucking grew up. Like I pretty much almost experienced everything from the 90s. Like obviously I grew up I was born in 89 and obviously 90, 91, 92, like you're a little old, but then as you start to get to like 94, then I remember a lot more.
Yeah,
I was able to experience a lot more.
True.
So it's really dope seeing that you guys were influenced by pretty much the era that like made me who I am, and that's dope, man. I really liked it. I really like what you guys have going on, and
oh, thank you.
yeah, man. So you guys have anything that you guys want to plug? Any new Kickstarters, new issues, new comics that you guys have coming out?
Well, so we just wrapped up 6, and it's being sent off and it's being printed. So we'll probably do 7 in February, and also the book is coming out through Dark Horse. They've picked it up, so
Wait, hold on. Why did we not talk about that in the beginning? Why are we talking about this now? All right, you know what? We'll save that. We'll do like maybe like a 15-20 minute. I don't want to keep you guys here all night, but we'll do that for like Patreon. But continue. So you said it was picked up by Dark Horse.
Yeah, so it was picked up by Dark Horse in a trade format. So the first 4 issues are going to be out in August, and then they're basing whether they pick it up for the second trade based on our Kickstarter numbers. So 6 did well again, and I told them that, and they're talking. It's probably the talks are happening, and so 7 is probably going to come out in February on Kickstarter. So be there if people want that trade version. Just come on and support us, and we'll keep making it as long as we can because we have a lot. So the reason why is because comic companies are hesitant about picking up long running series because you never know, the dip always happens. Like people get excited and they fall off. So our series is planned to be very long, so that pitch is harder to do. So they're basing it off of like sustained interest in our crowdfunding. So if people want it to keep going, just come and help us out. We appreciate it.
There you go. I'll put the Kickstarter link in the description, and then I'll give directions on everywhere else to get it. But yeah, definitely go and support these guys. I mean, you fucking hear that. It's like, yo, Dark Horse is picking up an indie creator. So there's definitely opportunity in the spaces. Definitely, we'll talk a little bit more about like the details. You guys obviously don't have to get super detailed on me, but we'll talk a little bit about it. But I appreciate you guys hopping on. And yeah, that's pretty much it, man. So YouTube, I'll catch you guys later.
See you guys.
All right, man. Thank you for having us. We appreciate being here.
No problem.
You have a great show on, man. We had a lot of fun. It was great.
Dope. All right, later.
See ya.
Bye.